Hey everybody, it's Allie and welcome to our Y&R Chat for Sunday, September 9th, 2018. $50,000 in fines, 2 years of a suspended license, and 12 months in the state penitentiary. Did Lily receive a fair sentence? I think that is a great poll question for the week. Are you viewing all of this as fair or unfair? Honestly, with Christine having asked for the maximum sentence of 20 years and Michael having only asked for probation as a fair punishment along with a fine, I think it sounds pretty fair. To me, that seems like a reasonable balance. And I also think that Y&R did a really wonderful job artistically of presenting us with these courtroom scenes and the courtroom outcome. I really enjoyed Monday and Tuesday's show. I was drawn into the world, a small little world, Lily's world, closing in on her bit by bit, listening to the sounds of a clicking pen or the shuffling of papers or a scooting of a chair, all of this creating suspense for the viewer while conveying to us Lily's sense of anxiety about what was to come. I think that Lily was in a mental tunnel. She was just completely surrounded by darkness with no light and no expectation of a way out. I don't think that Lily thought she was going to get off the hook. I think she was fully prepared for 20 years in prison. Cain did stand up and decide to speak on her behalf and ask for mercy. He actually told the judge that he wishes that he could take this punishment for Lily. He implores the judge to not punish Lily for his mistake, for his lies. Cain tells the judge that he asked his son to keep all of this a secret about the accident, and that action ultimately did make Lily look like she not only caused the accident, but that she was trying to save herself by keeping quiet. So I appreciated that Cain stood up and said, I want you to know, Judge, that that part was me. That was my mistake. His speech really did make me tear up. That was the first moment of the week where the welling of water started to happen in my eyes. I, in that moment, was able to totally forgive him for pawing up on Lily the morning of her sentencing hearing. He was suggesting to her that they have a little intimate time and started kissing on her. I'm like, really, Cain? That would be the last thing on my mind. There is no way that I would ever be able to allow myself to give into pleasure knowing what I was facing in just a couple of hours. I'm sure that all of the other Y&R viewers or Lily and Cain fans found that to be very romantic, but I was a little disappointed in Cain for even thinking that I was going to be able to have sex with him at a time like this. Oh, naughty, naughty. Well, speaking of disappointment, I was also completely and totally disappointed that Neil wasn't there. we're gonna need to talk about this and work through this. I need you guys to help me because Neil was not at the trial. Neil still hasn't showed up back in town, and I don't understand why. His firstborn daughter was on trial for a homicide and sentenced to 1 year in prison. Neil could have been there for what could have been and ended up being her final moments of freedom. Neil should have been there for her when she needed him the most, and he wasn't. And on top of that, his other son, Devon, sitting on the other side of the courtroom, having just lost his wife and is now going through the horrible process of watching his sister on trial for that same homicide, and Neil was not there for Devon either. This was bad. This was a bad writing or something. Apparently, the excuse was that Sophia was rushed to the hospital with what Nate called a minor complication from a car accident that she had a couple of years prior. Not even a current car accident. A minor complication from something that happened a couple of years ago, and Neil hopped on the jet, left town immediately. Don't you think that Moses, his child, would have been just fine with a sitter for a couple more hours? I know that he has a child with Sophia and that the child would need him, but a couple of hours? You couldn't have postponed? This really bothered me. I'm sure it's probably some kind of unforeseen circumstance with Christoph St. John, but I feel robbed of what could have been something that would have taken that whole courtroom scene really over the top emotionally. Neil could have made an incredibly passionate statement to the judge as the father to both the victim and the offender. I mean, Neil could have really delivered something amazing, and we just lost that opportunity. Instead, we've got Nate, who has become the stand-in for Neil, which in some circumstances, okay, that's fine, but in this circumstance, it was a completely unsuitable substitute. We did have some very passionate speeches from Shauna and from Devon. They were both given opportunity to give their victim impact statements, and Shauna's was the first really big surprise of the day. She revealed in her statement that even though she loved Hillary and she can't even fully express what a huge influence Hillary was on her life, she also knows that Lily didn't do what she did on purpose. And Shauna doesn't want to ruin Charlie and Maddie's family the way that her family has now been ruined. She doesn't want to take a mother figure away from two people that she loves the way she lost a mother figure. So that was very surprising and very big of Shauna, and it was a wonderful moment as she's standing there clutching her statement that she made to the judge. Devon, on the other hand, at this point in the story, was not willing to be so forgiving. I don't think he was judgmental at all on whatever Shauna wanted to say, but when Devon stood up there to talk to the judge, he told that judge that he truly believes in his heart that Lily's deepest wishes came true the day that Hillary died. That this is ultimately what Lily always wanted. And because of that, because of her actions and her negligence, he asks the judge to impose the maximum sentence upon his sister. It was very harsh. Devon was in no place to heal in that moment. After the judge leaves the courtroom to go deliberate, Cain approaches Devon and he makes one last interesting plea with him. And it's a great point that I really hadn't thought of. And in retrospect, I think maybe this is the point that sent Devon in a different direction of thinking. Cain reminds Devon that what Lily did to Hillary was completely unintentional. Whereas Neil went out of his way to harm Hillary. He kidnapped Hillary, held her hostage in a boathouse, kept them apart, all for revenge, and yet Devon found a way to forgive Neil for that. What a point. What a point that I'm surprised wasn't made prior. I didn't think of it prior. And that's another reason, by the way, that I really wish Neil would have been there to respond to that point. That's a point that Neil should have made to Devon. Ugh. Well, talk about an 11th hour play. The judge comes back to the courtroom from his deliberation. He starts to read his decision, and it's pretty clear that he's getting ready to sentence Lily harshly when Devon stands up and tells the judge that he would like to amend his previous statement. And Devon begins to talk, and the judge at first is not wanting to listen, but Devon says, the thing about grief is that it changes from moment to moment. You might want something in one moment and then want the complete opposite in the following moment. And the judge had just been talking about delivering justice for Hillary and her baby because they are victims who no longer have a voice. And Devon tells him, as I'm listening to you say that, all I can hear is my wife's voice. I know my wife. I knew her better than anyone. And I'm realizing in this moment that she would not want this. She would not want this for Lily. She would not want this for me. She would not want this for our family. Lily is the one who helped give me a family. And here I am now, having been propelled by all of this anger and rage, and now I'm looking at my sister and realizing that she's not just a faceless defendant who killed my wife. She actually is my sister. He begins to remember the history of their relationship and who Lily is. So the judge listens to him. No one has been impacted by what's happened more than Devon. And the judge says, okay, what exactly are you asking me to do now? And this was the best part. This was the part I loved above everything in Devon's speech. He tells the judge that all he really wants now is to be free. And knowing that I played a part in sending my sister to prison would only make me a prisoner for the rest of my life. It would interrupt my ability to be free, to continue to go on with my life. I thought that was so great. And it was so impactful. I mean, the judge was definitely annoyed that he just went to all this trouble of making his decision, and now this guy has wasted all of that time. But the judge also understood and really seeming to listen to Devon. I mean, this was a thoughtful judge. He wanted to take all of the information and weigh it appropriately, and he agrees to go back to his chambers and revisit his ruling and then come back. Well, in the interim, all of the Winters family are there in the courtroom, not believing what just happened. It was truly an 11th hour moment. And Lily approaches Devon and comes up to him and says, thank you. I mean, win or lose the case, it's far more important to her that she wins Devon back in some way, shape, or form, and she wants to never stop trying to win him back. Devon, though, is really quick to let her know in that moment, I don't forgive you. I don't think you deserve this, but I don't forgive you. Now I've done what I needed to do, and I'm out. Devon actually leaves the courtroom, and he goes to Crimson Lights, where, by the way, Cain tracks him down. Cain is out the door right behind Devon, I was so shocked that Cain would actually leave to go hunt him down and ask him to come back. Cain told Devon he needs him there in that courtroom. Please come back. I mean, it was a little presumptuous. I don't know how anyone could ask any more of Devon after what he's just done, and yet there Cain is doing that. Devon does come back to the courtroom just in time for the judge to read the new verdict. Now here, everybody's kind of at this point thinking, probably except Lily, that Devon probably just saved Lily. She's probably not even gonna go to prison now. I mean, Devon even said, you know what, I just saved her, I've done what I've needed to do, bye-bye. But even Devon's last minute plea was not enough to save Lily from the consequences of her actions and the undeniable fact that 2 people lost their lives due to negligence. So that's when the judge sentences her $50,000 in fines on a family, by the way, who already had financial issues. I mean, when Cain lost his job, they were trying to figure out how they were going to scrape by so much that Cain was stealing from the children's college funds. But now Lily is going to have to pay $50,000 in fines, not to mention the fact that she's going to be out of work for the next 12 years of her prison sentence, and that 2 years of a suspended license. I'm assuming that starts when she gets out, because otherwise it's only like 1 year of a suspended license. Yeah, I mean, I personally think all in all, it's pretty fair. Anything less almost seems like Lily would be getting off easily, and anything more almost seems like it would be too harsh. I think it's reasonable in terms of believability of what someone like Lily in reality would receive as a sentence, but I think it's also a little bit cathartic to the viewers. So the people who wanted to support Lily and believed that she didn't deserve prison time, you only kind of have to deal with it for a year. I mean, really, she's going to be off on good behavior in 6 months. I mean, I don't think you really serve a full 12 months of a sentence if you are an ideal inmate. I think you are eligible for good behavior and getting out early. Plus, we have soap opera time to factor in here. Things tend to move a little faster than in reality. So Lily probably won't actually be in prison forever, and that's good for Lily fans. But on the other side of the people who were really looking to see Lily pay for what happened with Hillary, she's still getting some prison time. So I think this is a really well-rounded outcome. I'm very pleased with it. And I was also, by the way, just really shocked and surprised that Lily started to pay her debt immediately, and we got to see it immediately. Cain's at home trying to carry on everything with the family, carry on the tradition of back to school waffles, while Lily is in prison. We're getting our first look at her behind bars in her denim. I mean, I wasn't expecting that. No makeup. Oh, terrified, absolutely terrified and depressed and lonely. I cannot even imagine what it would be like to feel alone and terrified in a women's prison. They would eat me alive. I would be breakfast. I mean, so I can identify. Lily's would probably be worse off than me. I've at least got a little bit of street smarts I think I might be able to use, but Lily is definitely a little pampered princess. She's just there clinging to the photos of her family. That's all she has. I mean, gosh, the only thing she can do now is rely on her memories. It's just so depressing. Well, on the outside, Nate is pressuring Devon to go visit Lily in prison. I'm so annoyed. After everything that Devon has been through, after the tremendous change of heart that he's just had, I mean, leaping from wanting Lily to serve 20 years in prison to asking the judge to have mercy on her is a tremendous leap that took place in what, an hour? And now the next day, Nate's pounding on the door asking for more? How can you people ask for more of him? Would it be nice if Devon went to visit Lily in prison? Yes. Would it mean a lot to her if he visited her in prison? Yes. But Devon has been through more than anyone in this situation. Ultimately, Lily is going to get out of prison next year. Devon will still have lost his wife and child. That agony is never going to end for him. So can he just have a freaking moment, Nate? Well, in the previews of next week's show, it does look like Devon is going to decide to go visit Lily. I just hope he's doing it because he feels truly compelled to repair the relationship or to offer her something or to ask her questions. I hope it's of his own volition and not because Devon is feeling compelled to just do what everyone else is telling him is right. Speaking of doing what's right, what's going on with Charlie? I'm concerned about Charlie. I think he's got a lot of guilt that he's working through right now. And I'm afraid to know how that's going to play out. The Ashby family is trying to go on. They have no choice but to try to live their lives. Cain's now taking care of the 3 children, and he's trying to still make it a positive environment, still try to carry on the traditions and the values that he and Lily together wanted the family to have. They all 3, Cain and Maddie and Charlie, pay a visit to Lily in prison, and it was so obvious that Cain is putting on this fake smile in front of the kids, trying to make them believe that everything's fine, and Lily is doing the same, trying to not sugarcoat it, not act like she's at a day spa, but she's trying to present some positive things that the kids can hold on to, because as a mother, that's what you're gonna do. You want to try to make your children believe that everything's fine, so to create as little disruption for their lives as possible. But then Lily admits privately to Cain that prison is really starting to take a toll on her. I mean, I think on some level she said she felt that prison was going to relieve some of her guilt, that maybe receiving a punishment was going to help her feel less guilty, but it's completely upheaved her physical life and also her mental state. She's really struggling with this, as you would. And Charlie specifically seems to be very, very intuitive to that. And I think it is because Charlie knows he played this tiny role in what ended up happening. And I think he's going to continue to struggle. I think he's going to continue to act out a little bit. He skipped school this week, and we're seeing that he's become very argumentative with Maddie. And then Charlie gave this look on Friday's show when Lily and Cain were privately in the little meeting room and Charlie was looking in on them, and he just had this look on his face of worry. Just something really, really heavily weighing on him. I really like Charlie. I really like the actor. I think that this is going to boost him into the foreground just a little bit. One of 2 things. I think either Charlie is going to start acting out even more, and maybe we'll see some teen trouble challenge for Charlie and for Cain, by the way, who is in effect a single parent right now. Cain's going to be dealing with everything in the household on his own now. So I think it's either going to be the challenges around a troubled teen storyline, or we also had that little interesting element of Lily asking Charlie if he could create a video for her. I mean, Charlie was very into his film career at a certain point, and that sort of dropped off. And Lily asked him, maybe as a way to keep him focused, to create a video that details the next year of their lives so that she would be able to see it. And I'm wondering if maybe that means that we're gonna see Charlie going back through that old footage from the Dina video that he created, maybe possibly getting to the bottom of who secretly edited that footage to reveal Jack's paternity in a very, very public way. I mean, Abby was insisting with Jack this week that she didn't believe Victor was the one who was behind it. So I think maybe Charlie's gonna be involved in that just a little bit. And this is a long shot. I really, really doubt it. But is there any chance we're gonna find out that Charlie actually did accidentally edit in that footage? Kyle Abbott, a piranha with good hair. How great was that line by Phyllis? You're like a piranha, but with good hair. Let me tell you, he's got a whole lot more than just good hair. He's got a lot of good assets going for him. I like Kyle a whole lot. I mean, how sweet was he with Dina? Kyle has kind of become one of Dina's primary caretakers. He's really, really good with her. They have a standing afternoon date with a bowl of popcorn and a movie. And I just love that Kyle presents this as something that's comforting to Dina. Even if it's a movie that Dina has seen a dozen times and doesn't realize it, it creates a sense of comfort and routine for her. And Kyle knowing that and being sensitive to that and coming up with that idea is really sweet and really smart. It is not an easy job taking care of Dina. In fact, I think that Kyle really should not have left Dina alone with Phyllis this week. Phyllis had no idea what she was getting into. You can't just dump something like this onto somebody who's not prepared for it. And Phyllis was indeed unprepared. Dina ended up slipping away. She wandered away from Phyllis out into the orchard, and she was only found because Kyle has apparently put a tracking device in her purse. What a genius idea. She never goes anywhere without that purse. So, you know, she's like the Queen of England in that way. So slip a tracking device in there, and that way if you lose her, you can find her right away. I love it. My only question is, what happens when Dina changes her purse? Do you have to go in there and switch the tracking device every week as she changes her purse? You know, ladies like to have different bags. Kyle just must be completely on top of it. I thought that was adorable. Well, Kyle tells Jack about the missing Dina incident with Phyllis, and that realization combined with the realization that Dina, she just barely remembers anything anymore. She's mostly living in this fantasy world where she has and had this perfect life. She was a perfect wife and a perfect mother, and she has the perfect existence. All of that makes Jack ultimately come to the conclusion that it's time to move back into the Abbott mansion. It's time for him to step it up and start looking after her a little bit more. Sure. His ex-wife, who he totally still loves and confessed his love to like a month ago, still lives in the mansion, or lives in the mansion now with his brother, who she's dating, but Dina. It's definitely completely about Dina. Jack needs to move back to the mansion about Dina. Yeah, that's it. Oh. Jack really doesn't even waste any time, does he? Before he's dragging his bags back through the front door and giving one of those classic Jack Abbott longing looks nostalgically around the front room of the mansion. That is his home, and I was happy to see him back there. I think we've got all of the Abbotts except for Tracy back under this same roof. There's a lot of potential there. I just love that that home is packed. Well done, Y&R. I mean, all of the Abbotts, even Abby is there. Abby's also trying to help Jack continue to follow the trail of who Dina's long lost love was and who Jack's father might be. It's impossible. I mean, Dina was sure as night and day that Philip Chancellor was Jack's father, and now that she barely recognizes night and day, I don't see how it's gonna get any easier to find out who Jack's father really is. Every day the trail just goes colder. But Jack pulls out that old photo that he found in the bank deposit box when we were on this trail a month ago. And it has to be there for a reason. Why would it be the only thing that was hidden inside of a safety deposit box, which a key that was hidden was leading to? It's... We're back to the photo, and Jack's looking at the photo this week and realizing that he doesn't recognize any of the faces in the photo. The only thing that Jack recognizes about this photo is the fact that apparently every single man in that photo was apparently longingly looking at Dina as if she was a midnight snack. Can you imagine being so desired that amongst a group of men, at the exact moment that a photo was being taken of you, they're all just like salivating and looking at you. Look at how much they want you. Give me a break. Next week, it looks like someone is going to recognize one of those faces. Lauren is at Jack's at the mansion this week, talking to Jack, looking at that photo, realizing that Neil Fenmore, her father, is one of those men who's hungrily looking at Dina. Ugh. My ugh cannot even be loud enough or emphatic enough right now. So we're gonna either be following down this rabbit hole and it's gonna end up the exact same as it did with Philip Chancellor, or Y&R is just getting ready to tell us the exact same story that they were trying to tell us a month ago, only now it's a slight pivot. And instead of letting Jack become a chancellor, he's going to become a Fenmore. And instead of Jack setting his sights on chancellor, he's going to be setting his sights on Fenmore's department stores. You know, Fenmore's department stores, that company that's in partnership with Jabot, that would probably be in a position to buy out a piece of Jabot if Billy ends up gambling it away. The thing about addiction is, no matter what addiction it is, the addict does not realize, at least at first, and sometimes when they're in the thick of it, that they have a problem. And I think that's what stage Billy is in right now. I don't think he realizes that he has a problem, and I think he's forgotten what a big problem he's had with gambling in the past. Billy, he's got a lot of good things going on for him right now, but he's also got a lot of challenges that need his attention. And instead, he's really focused on this big poker tournament that Kyle is behind the scenes luring him into. Billy thinks that if he can convince Sinead, that poker rival, to talk to the right people, then he can get in on this very elite game that's taking place in Vegas. And then he can kind of prove himself as a gambler. He ends up at first, after getting accepted to the game, lying to Phyllis about it and trying to make up an excuse, saying that he was going off on a business trip. But then at the last minute, he actually decided to change his tone and admit to Phyllis that what he's actually doing is going to Vegas to play in this tournament. He wants to be honest with her. And he has this really great monologue talking about the game and the thrill of it all and the way that it excites him and the fact that it makes him feel alive. It makes him feel good about himself, and he wants to participate in this game to find out and if he is really as good at poker as he thinks he is. I think that at the heart of all of this, at the heart of Billy's mentality, he wants to find out that he's good at something. He wants to be good at something. Jabot always has felt like somebody else's, and even right now, all of the rest of the Abbotts, probably save Tracy, see him as the CEO only by default, not by earning it. And here, with playing poker, this is something that he feels he can excel at all on his own. This could be his. This is something he's good at. But the problem is Billy's on an upswing with the gambling cycle, so it all feels very exciting and he only feels like he's excelling. When he's not excelling, when he's on a losing streak, the reality is people get hurt, people get kidnapped, or he ends up getting the life nearly beaten out of him and left for dead in a parking garage. The people in Billy's life who love him are right to be concerned. And currently, the person who's most close to Billy and who can most identify problems with Billy and who's in a position to help Billy is Phyllis. But it has put Phyllis in one bad position, because by opening up to her about the gambling, Billy is trying to include her. He's trying to reach out to her. He's inviting her into something that he cares about, something that he feels good about. And Phyllis, in turn, wants to be supportive, to stand by her man, to repair their relationship, and to reinforce to him that he made the right decision by being honest with her. But Phyllis is in a position where she can clearly see the addiction at work. When Billy asks Phyllis if she'll come along on this ride with him, what is she supposed to say? It's either no, and she's chastising him and alienating him from maybe the one person who might be able to get through to him herself, or she has to choose to go along with the ride. And so she does that. She accepts Billy's invitation into this world, and she decides to go along with him to Vegas, but it is written on her face that she's only there to keep an eye on him and to help rescue him if he needs it. Phil picks up on the fact that Sinead has a shady vibe right away. She saw that where Billy didn't. Phyllis finds out that Sinead was the one who roped Billy into this tournament, and she questions that. She picks up on the fact that there's more to it than just a friendly competition, and she's got her eyeball on it. Way to go, Phyllis. Well, round 1 of the poker tournament comes and goes. I was kind of wishing maybe we would have got to see some of the action, but we did not. However, we learned that, guess what? Round 1, Bill the Gladiator Abbott comes out on top with piles and piles of cold, hard cash, which, by the way, seemed to be enough to make he and Phyllis red hot. It was pretty fun to see those scenes of Billy and Phyllis being all happy and flinging the money all around the room and making love, and they're just enjoying this moment. The high is good. No one ever questions that the high is good. It feels good. But what goes up must come down. I think that Phyllis wisely and delicately tried to move Billy in the direction of quitting while he was ahead. You've won, maybe let's just walk away. Let's go have some fun with this money. But no. You can't just walk away after round 1. Apparently, it's poor form. I mean, you're there in a tournament to the end. That's the idea. That's the sportsmanship of it. So Billy lets Phyllis know that no, this is just the beginning, and he's there to the end. He's all in until the end. It's especially heartbreaking seeing Billy so happy, knowing that his downfall is right around the corner. Billy thinks that he's in control. He thinks this is the new Billy. Same edge, but with boundaries this time. But we've already seen that when desperation kicks in, those boundaries along sometimes with the keys to a very expensive yacht can just go right out the window. Summer has returned from her cruise, sunburned to a crisp. What a nice touch, Y&R. I never would have thought about that, but the fact that she had this makeup on that was like showed her shoulders and her face sunburned, that was great touch. And the fact that Kyle kept patting her on her shoulders like rubbing salt in the wound because she's been had by Phyllis. It was glorious. Summer gets back into town like hell on wheels. Her first part of her plan is to confront Phyllis, which she did right in front of Kyle and Dina, by the way. That was delicious and funny and fun, and it was brief though. Summer storms out pretty quickly to go and find Billy and ask him if he wants to see her tan lines. She is undeterred. But the answer is no, for the 100th time. No, Billy doesn't want to see her tan lines. Billy tells her it's never gonna happen. He tells her this just like he's told her every other time that it's not gonna happen. Only this time, something really miraculous happened. She heard it. She actually heard Billy say no, and she actually accepted it. Wow, what changed? The crews agreed with you, Summer. She concedes. She goes to Kyle and concedes their bet. Fine, Billy is a saint. I'm not going to sleep with him. You win. I lose. Score 1, Kyle. Literally. Literally, he is getting ready to score. But not with a quickie. No, 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 no. Kyle tells Summer that he wants to savor his victory. He wants to make a night out of it. I am so looking forward to this next week. It seems from the preview that Kyle's gonna get all dressed up, Summer too, and he's gonna try to take her out on a date, create this romantic moment for them, and Summer seems to only just want to get to the sex part so that she can get it over with, pay her debt. But how much you want to bet that Kyle is gonna get this close to sleeping with Summer, going through with it, only to pull away at the last second and tell Summer that he wants her, but not this way? Good Kyle, bad Kyle, good Kyle, but bad Kyle, but good Kyle. It takes most people years to save up $20,000. How long did the bad guys give Tessa to pay off her debts? Long enough to make $20,000 waiting tables at Crimson Lights? Did they say, you owe us 20 grand, but take your sweet time? Now that Tessa's back, she's got Mariah fully. Mariah wants to help Tessa reestablish her life. In a way, it's almost like Tessa and Mariah are trying to reset things back to exactly where they were before Tessa left. Tessa tried to see if Mariah would be able to talk to Devon and Neil and get her old job back at Hamilton Winters, but that bridge, even Mariah recognizes, has been sufficiently burned. So instead, Mariah guilt trips Sharon a little bit into giving Tessa a job at the coffee house. Mariah corners Sharon and says, I'm doing this. Like, I'm Tessa's person. She's mine. It would be nice if you were over here on the sidelines being my cheerleader saying yay, instead of constantly reminding me that I'm going to crash and burn. It's legitimate from Mariah's standpoint, yes, but I also really understand where Sharon's coming from. Tessa has let Mariah and Noah both down before, and that's enough cause for concern. Sharon did put her foot down about Mariah's suggestion that Tessa stay at the ranch with them. Like, no, you're not gonna let your girlfriend move in with us. We've got enough people here and enough going on. And Sharon's also not too keen on going to bat to help Tessa get back her apartment at Rainbow Gardens, which Nick was hesitant to give her in the first place, and she turned around and broke the lease on him. The one thing I do kind of like about Tessa working at Crimson Lights, though, is that Sharon can maybe continue to keep a close eye on her, maybe continue to pin her down when she tries to flutter away. I think I just really appreciate Sharon's perspective here because I share it. Sharon is waiting for Tessa to break Mariah's heart again, and so am I. Mariah tells Sharon, insists to Sharon that she's going into this as cautiously as possible. She even tells Tessa that she wants to take it slow. That's good. But Tessa almost seems like the hetero equivalent of the hot bad boy that you want to turn into boyfriend material, when maybe Tessa's just not girlfriend material. I mean, Tessa doesn't even seem to trust herself, so why should anyone else trust her? I'm hearing a whole lot of, quote, I hope I never let you down. Let me just pause there for a second, because when I want someone to trust me, I don't say, I hope I never let you down. I say, I'm not going to let you down. And then I don't. Because I'm trustworthy. Tessa? I don't know. Tessa tells Mariah, you know, my life is complicated and maybe it always will be. And Mariah's asking her, you are here to stay in town, right? You're here to stay? And Tessa says, well, I want to, but I owe a lot of money. See, I'm not hearing that conviction from Tessa that I would be giving if I wanted to reassure someone. I know you can't ever, you can't tell someone that you're never going to, you know, to hurt them. I guess that's not possible. But there's an honesty that I know I would be giving that I'm not hearing from Tessa. And I feel like Mariah's trying a little too hard to make it work. Like, do you think that maybe Mariah is trying so hard to help Tessa right now with finding a home and finding a job because that way she can kind of keep her close? Like if Tessa's on tight enough of a leash, then she won't run away again. And it's all coming from a good place with Mariah. I'm completely sure of that. Mariah wants to trust Tessa. She wants to trust love, and I think you probably have to, I suppose, on some level make a little bit of a leap that when someone is telling you that they're not going to run away and they're not going to hurt you, that they mean it. So Mariah's trying to help Tessa, and she gets her the job at the coffee house, and now it's time for Tessa to start saving up her nickels. She doesn't seem very good at the coffee house job. So Mariah offers Tessa a part of her savings to pay off the debt. But Tessa refuses. No, no, no. I mean, we all knew that was going to happen. We all knew Mariah was going to offer her money. The key is that Tessa turned it down. But then she does decide to go to Devon, of all people, to ask for money. I mean, I guess if you owe that much money and you know a billionaire, you're going to ask. I wouldn't. But I really loved that interaction, and I really loved, and I have to give credit to Devon for being very blunt with Tessa at her question. Devon says, yeah, Tessa, I already gave you a second chance and you blew it. I think you're gonna have to find someone who doesn't know you as well as I do. And he just walks away. That was so good. I was in that moment with him. Then Devon pays a visit to Mariah to let her know exactly what just happened. Mariah didn't know Tessa was going to ask Devon for money. So this was news to Mariah. But Devon felt compelled to let her know about it and to also let her know furthermore that he doesn't really trust Tessa. And he doesn't even necessarily trust that there is a debt. I hadn't even thought about that. I see Tessa as more the flaky variety, not the outwardly and willfully, consciously manipulative type. But maybe Devon is seeing something that I haven't seen. I would have loved to see more of that conversation between Devon and Mariah. It kind of got cut off at the end of that day's episode, and I was waiting for the next day to see more of it, but there was nothing. I wanted to really see what Mariah was going to say to Devon. Did she hear what he said? Did she soak it in? Did she try to convince him otherwise? Did she make a compelling argument that I should have heard? Is there any chance that Mariah will be able to change Devon's mind, change the audience's mind? Maybe she'll coax Devon into offering Tessa that GC Buzz co-host job slot that's open. I mean, it's probably going to be a whole lot easier to scrape together some cash on a TV host salary than on coffee tips. Nick is back from his business trip, but Arturo stayed behind. And Abby is immediately suspicious that Arturo is choosing to stay away because he doesn't want to deal with the fact that his brother is now lurking around Genoa City. In fact, Abby confronts Ray all about this. I love that she's on to him a little bit. She makes a great point about how Ray has started to become close with everyone, and specifically when it comes to her, he was trying to get close with her under the guise of getting to know her, and yet really all that happened was he got her to reveal some details about herself, but never really said a whole lot about himself. Now, in response, Ray tells Abby that she's projecting, that Arturo is away on business, and the fact that he's not back yet has nothing to do with him. He also warns Abby that she's being emotional, that she's thinking emotionally, and that could lead to her getting hurt. That seemed like an important comment. That seemed like Ray knows a whole lot more about Arturo. I'm thinking back about all of those messes of Arturo that Ray said he's been sweeping up. What does that mean? What are we in for? I feel like maybe one of these brothers is going to turn out to be a good guy, one is going to turn out to be a bad guy, and I'm not entirely sure which. Well, I asked you guys last week if you felt that Ray Rosales was on track to be a mostly good guy or a future villain. The majority of you, but a slim majority, said villain. 53% of you said Ray Rosales is he's a future villain in the making, with 47% of you saying he's a mostly good guy. I think that time is gonna tell on all of that, and the fact that the vote is split so close speaks to the fact that it really can go either way. Just because Ray's doing some job and just because he's talking about JT doesn't necessarily mean he's going to turn out to be a villain, although he may very well. Sharon was talking to Nick this week about Ray and ended up revealing to Nick that she had invited Ray over to dinner, and the real reason for that was the fact that he was asking these questions about JT, about those charges on JT's credit card, which Sharon knows that Nick is behind. It's like Y&R's kind of making him look like he's a bad guy, and that's what's almost making me think that maybe he's going to turn out to be a good guy, or mostly good guy anyway. In the previews for next week's show, Ray is again talking on his cell phone to some mystery person, telling them that it's time to make his move. What move? What move is this gonna be? And is it just a coincidence that Ray's move is gonna be happening at the same time that Nick is apparently holding some kind of press conference? He's giving an interview with Mariah in the previews for next week's show, telling the world about how successful his new company has become. See, I think that we are building up this brotherly rivalry between Arturo and Ray, and at the heart of it, there's going to be another layer of complication because Arturo's working for Nick and Ray is working for Victor, with Abby caught right in the middle of a hailstorm. Poof! Like magic, I'm gone. Last week, Sharon was having a conversation with Mariah, suggesting that maybe Mariah needs to go out, paint the town red, and just forget all about Tessa. And Mariah says, okay, fine. Poof, like magic, I'm gone. I thought that was a cute little quote, and 12 of you guessed that it was indeed Mariah who said it. So congratulations, Henry, on continuing your streak of winning. Jillian also, and Ambreen has been on quite of a streak here too. We've got Sherry getting it right, and Gina, Rose, Jamie, Heather, T-Nicole. I'm probably gonna get this name wrong, so correct me if I get it wrong, and then I'll remember it forever. I'm gonna say Mary Kay Maryke. But tell me how you actually pronounce it and I'll get it right next time. And also Tanya, that's an easy one to pronounce. I know Tanya. And Diana. Congratulations, you guys all guessed that one right. Here's another moment for ya. Who said this? I adore risque. No, the answer is not Allie. I mean, I probably have said it at some point, but who during last week's Y&R said, I adore risque? Go to yrchat.com to leave your guess, and if you get it right, shout out next week, you. Before getting into comments, I want to bounce back to something else real quick. I feel like we didn't really get a chance last week to dig into the fact that Crystal Khalil, who plays Lily, is going off onto recurring status. I mean, to me, that seems like really, really big casting news. I have no idea what this is going to mean for the future of Cain's character. I mean, are we going to continue to see Lily in prison, or are they going to speed this up? I mean, how often are we going to see her, and how long is Cain going to carry on without Lily? I mean, is she really going to come back? I mean, it's just, it seems like such a big deal. I wanted to read you guys Crystal's statement just for a good measure here. Quote, I have decided to switch from full-time to recurring status. That means I'm not leaving, just ready after 16 amazing years playing Lily to explore new things. I will continue to be a proud member of the Y&R family and look forward to future adventures playing Lily. Thank you all for the love and support over the years. Crystal Khalil had joined Y&R back in August of 2002, left in September 2005, and then returned to reclaim her role in November 2006. Do you guys remember the first time that she went off on recurring? I do, and I think they tried to recast her. I do vaguely remember them bringing in someone to play the role of Lily who wasn't real great. I didn't connect to her. Crystal Khalil is definitely Lily to me, and I'm very sad to see her go. I hope that we continue to see her somewhat regularly, and I wonder what new things she is wanting to explore. It seems odd to me that we have so many long-term stars that are leaving the show this year, and it really kind of doesn't look good on Y&R. Why are so many people choosing to either leave or go to recurring right now? I also, on a related note, happened to stumble upon a new interview with Mal Young this week. I was looking up, trying to get my episodes of Y&R. There was some drama at the CBS.com website this week. Y&R just started its 46th season, and the CBS.com website has all of the shows categorized by season, but they don't default to the newest season. So I was freaking out not being able to get my shows this week, so I'm on the internet trying to find out how I can get them, and I stumbled upon a couple of different places had published articles with this interview from Mal Young, but I'm going to read you from the soaps.sheknows.com website because I think you guys are going to find this interesting. Mal Young says, quote, when Michelle Morgan, who plays Hillary, came to me and said she wanted to move on, we talked about it. She's a very talented and ambitious actress. She has big dreams. And I said to her, you're not coming back, are you? She went, no. She said there are so many opportunities for diverse casting right now, and she was upfront about that. She said, I think I've got my moment. And I said, you've got the best showreel on TV. You're leaving at a high. I'll give you the biggest exit story I can possibly give you. I want you to be the next person we see in prime time. Okay, so that's Mal Young's account of Michelle Morgan leaving Y&R. Now, this article from soaps.sheknows.com also notes that this is a sharp contrast to Michelle Morgan's manager, who claimed publicly that the actress wanted to stay on the show but wasn't offered a raise after 5 years, and observed, quote, "We felt that we were put in a position that we had no choice but to explore other options. In my opinion, there was no give or take. It was sort of a take it or leave it scenario." Okay, so we've got some contrasting stories about why Michelle left the role of Hillary. Mal Young also went on to explain why he elected to kill off Hillary's character, saying, quote, "Killing her sends out a message to everyone that she's not coming back. And also, I didn't want anyone else playing Hillary." So what do you guys think of that? I think it's so interesting that we've got two different ideas here, because we've got, you know, all up until this point, the only thing we heard was from Michelle Morgan's manager saying, yeah, they like don't pay. They're not giving pay increases. It was really difficult to negotiate with Sony to get Michelle Morgan's contract renewed, and that she was eligible for an increase after 5 years of being with the show. And then now we have Mal Young coming out saying it was basically Michelle's choice, that she wanted to go on and do something else, that maybe she had some stars in her eyes and wanted to create a primetime career. So, what's true? Maybe it's a little bit of both, who knows. Mal also hinted about a possible return of Chelsea and maybe even Adam in the future. I don't know how much weight I put on that. I could see maybe Chelsea coming back, but I feel like Mal is toying, and I think Mal probably gets that question a lot about Adam coming back onto the show. But I mean, if he is going to do it, it's probably not going to be anytime soon, but I just somehow feel like he's toying with that. Like, oh yeah, I've heard that, it's a possibility. You want to keep that spin going. You want to keep people talking about that character, but I don't know if they're going to do that anytime soon. I mean, thinking then about Chelsea and the fact that Melissa Claire Egan also elected to leave the show. And then we've got Eileen Davidson. And now Crystal Khalil. So all of these stars coming and going off of Y&R. Is this the new culture of being a soap star? I mean, it used to be that you would stay on the show for 30 years and that's your job. That's what you do. But maybe now in this new era of soaps, maybe they want to keep that door revolving on purpose so that the show always stays fresh, and so that the actors have opportunities to explore other jobs. So, I mean, that's a possibility, or, is it possible that there is something going on behind the scenes that's making people feel like they want to leave? I don't know. I tend to wonder if it is the idea of bigger stardom tempting at least some of the stars, luring them away. I mean, it would be really hard to resist. A lot of Justin Hartley's castmates stood by and watched him become wildly famous after being on Y&R. I mean, wildly. That guy's one of the biggest stars in the world now. And so, I mean, maybe that made some of our other Y&R stars develop some stars in their eyes. I don't know. What do you guys think? Okay, now it's comment time. I got a really nice voicemail from Nancy this week. I always keep my voicemails that are particularly, like, I don't know, kind or close to my heart or complimentary or whatever. So that was a keeper. That was a saver. I always do very much love hearing from you. And please know that that your appreciation for Y&R Chat is never unappreciated by me. I mean, it's gosh, life after my daughter has definitely gotten very crazy, and I think I'm on autopilot some of the time, where I'm just rushing to get everything done. And so just even hearing little thank yous and things like that, it just really means the world to me. That kind of replenishes my spirit a little bit, because Y&R and Y&R Chat there's something that really mean something to me and really are kind of healing for me in a way. It's cathartic. I also got another really funny voice message from Jamie saying, I think I'm finally done being mad at Lily. Bless her heart in that denim shirt. For shame, the denim shirt. It broke my heart. You know what, Jamie? I wanted to believe Lily's version of the story that she gave to the kids, where the other female inmates were like, hey, I know you, model. Can you give me some hair and makeup tips? I so wanted that to be the truth, but in reality, of course, they're going to be giving her a hard time. She's soft. Who would fare better in prison, Lily or me? It's got to be me. I mean, I'm not just a delicate flower. I'm a little less of a delicate flower than Lily. I think I've got some street smarts in me. I could get by. I could get by. But that denim, ugh. Kara says, even though I've not always been Lily's #1 fan, I was so sad watching her look at those pictures and cry in her cell. The writers did such a great job of making us feel her sadness and fear. The breakfast table scene with Cain and the kids was so real and also hard to watch. Great writing and great acting by the whole family. Oh, I agree. T. Nicole says, I could feel Lily's heart pounding through her facial expressions. The sound effects, magnifying the clicking of the pen and the shuffling of the papers really brought me into Lily's mind and her feelings in that moment. I could feel her fear waiting for the ruling. Seeing Lily sitting in that prison cell, I just feel for her and how dreadful it must be for her to think, how did I get to this place? I haven't always liked the character of Lily, but how she has handled this whole situation since finding out that she ran the red light is admirable. She is strong, brave, and full of courage to face this head on. Maybe I should give Lily a little more credit for being able to survive in prison. I think you're right, that she is strong and she is brave, and maybe this will help her discover some things about herself and some strengths within herself that she didn't even know she had. I mean, Cain coming in to visit her and suggesting that maybe they just need to go to bed at the same time. He asked her, what time is lights out? 10? Okay, then I'm gonna start going to bed at 10. And we'll both be in bed at 10, thinking of each other at that time, and you hold on to that. Let that be your strength at the end of the day. And eventually, I would imagine that you would settle into some semblance of a new reality in prison. It's got to be incredibly jarring, incredibly shocking at first, but maybe within the coming weeks she'll find a balance and find a way of maneuvering, at least through the next 6 months. I don't think it would even be a full year in reality, but we'll see. Marion says, I have to admit that tears came rolling down when the judge announced Lily was going down for 12 months. They did a lot of close-ups of her face, right? And you know, you could feel it. It was good acting from Crystal Clear. She did look almost just shocked. I can only imagine, but I felt her anxiety in those moments. And yeah, really good scenes. Ellen says, 2 thoughts. Number 1, Hillary knew what Lily did, arguing while driving, and forgave her everything. I don't think running the red light would have made a difference to her. Why? That's number 2. Hillary was the main reason Lily was distracted. Hillary kept the argument going. She didn't say, Lily, let's argue later, keep your eyes on the road, or even, watch the road, biatch. Nope. Hillary was a participant. Lily, as the driver, was ultimately responsible, but Hillary certainly contributed to the accident, and she forgave Hillary. That should mean something to Devon. In reality, I bet these distracted driving situations happen a lot, and no one ever really knows what was going on in the car. The only reason that that the court would know what was going on in the car was because Lily confessed to it. But I bet that, you know, I mean, people are distracted from their driving for any number of different ridiculous reasons. It's just yeah, I mean, I get you, and I like the point that you made that Hillary forgave Lily of this, and that's something that should mean something to Devon. And Ellen, you had left this comment before seeing the end of Monday's episode, beginning of Tuesday's episode, and Devon having his turnaround, but you also are kind of cluing into a point that is what ultimately helped Devon change his mind. The fact that if Hillary forgave Lily, then maybe he could start working on forgiving her too. What he said was, I hear my wife's voice in my head right now. Anna had an interesting callback, reminding me of the time that Phyllis and Sharon's bickering accidentally caused Drusilla's death. That is a great point. I think Sharon and Phyllis were arguing over a cell phone or something, like right in front of a cliff, and they were yanking back and forth between the phone, and one of them accidentally like bumped Drusilla off the edge of a cliff. Can you freaking imagine? Oh my goodness. I wish we could see some of those clips. Maybe that one's on YouTube. That would have had to be a good one. But, you know, I mean, first Drusilla, we're missing Hillary, and Lily's going off to recurring. What's going to happen to the Winters family? They're dwindling. I mean, the Abbotts are at a good, strong place. But the Winters, and Neil. I mean, Neil being gone too. What's up? But anyway, I like that. I liked that parallel. Well, here's something fun. Gary and I have been kicking around the idea of a graduation party for Sharon. She told Nick this week that she's graduating from college. Congratulations, Sharon. And Gary says, please join us as a beautiful cap and gown Sharon receives her diploma in a gala handing out at the Genoa City Athletic Club upper sunroom. Not since the Shady Acres 100-year high school reunion have they been in charge of such a worthy event. Be there or be square. Congratulations, Sharon. You've earned it. Bravo! Bravo, Sharon. I really do hope that we get a graduation ceremony for Sharon so we can congratulate her, and I hope she gets fast-tracked into her new career as Genoa City's premier therapist. I left this comment on the website, but I think it would be great if Sharon became a therapist. She left the coffee house to Mariah, and then we can just quietly forget about the whole GC Buzz show altogether. A girl can dream. Well, Superplex, weighing in on my theory from last week that Ray is working for Victor, Superplex says, we all know that when in doubt, all roads in the Young and the Restless universe lead to Victor. But in this case, I'm having trouble trying to find the logic behind Victor using Ray as a mechanism to hound the gals of the Covenant over the issue of the credit card debt. Victor already knows that Nick was behind JT's credit cards and that he was responsible for hacking Newman Enterprises' data processing network. Yes, I know, Superplex. I'm leaning mostly on my evidence for Ray working for Victor is, as you said, all roads lead back to Victor. That's the only evidence or logic that I even have on this theory. I don't imagine, though, that Ray is intending to hound the girls specifically. I think maybe Ray is just trying to get more info out of the people in Nick's life and hoping to get some info that can be used against him. Oh, I don't know. I'm just imagining. Oh, well, on that idea, I got a couple other theories on who Ray could be working for. Catalina says, what if Ray isn't investigating JT's disappearance? What if he's working for JT, gathering evidence in order to blackmail the women into making all of the charges against him disappear? I love that theory, and that had rattled around in my head too. It did occur to me that Ray could be connected to JT, but I keep trying to tell myself, just let it die, let JT be dead, because you know I was on my whole kick about JT not being dead or having a twin for so long, and it turned out not to be true, so I had to pull myself back from that theory. Rose, though, believes that Ray works for Nick. Nick said he had people looking for JT, and he may have meant Ray. Nick may have taken Arturo with him on his trip just to get him out of Ray's way so that he could investigate. Ooh, there are so darn many good possibilities on what Ray is up to, and I think we're going to at least start to get some of it next week. Maybe. It'll probably be toward the end of next week, but I have a feeling it's coming as Ray is making his move. Here's a really good theory from Diana saying, I think the reason that Arturo and his brother have a rift between them is because Arturo had an affair with his brother's wife. That is why Ray and his wife are separated. I believe that Arturo's sister-in-law is the woman that Arturo was speaking about when he told Abby that he was serious about someone once before. Oh, Diana, if you nailed that, that is so good. Oh, man. Please let that be the case. Please let that be the case. I love it. Hey, some casting news. Sasha Calais is going to be coming onto the show as Arturo and Ray's younger sister Lola starting this Friday, September 14th. So this should shed some light on the situation. Ooh, I hope that it's that Arturo had an affair with his brother's wife. That'd be kind of good. Yeah. Oh, hey, also unrelated but also a casting news. Alice Hunter has been cast as Carrie Jones and is scheduled to make her first appearance sometime in October. Soap Opera Digest says, or sorry, it was Soaps in Depth, says that we hear Carrie is a chemist hired by Gibault, but who will also be having some dealings with Newman Enterprises. Well, maybe Carrie's going to replace Helen. We had a brief other chemist at Gibault not that long ago. It seems like Y&R wants to do something with that open chemist spot. Maybe Carrie's going to be it. Oh, hey, I did, just backtracking one sec. I do think in that same interview with Mal Young that he said Ray's ex-wife or current wife or whatever, this one, is going to be slated to come on to the show eventually. Mal said that he's created some, like a full-fledged storyline around this and that the wife will somehow be involved. So we've got a couple of new peeps coming on. That potential wife, I think that's maybe a little bit more down the road. I haven't seen any specific casting news on that, but we've got Lola, and then we've got this new Gibault chemist in October. Laura says, hey, I hope it was Ashley who spliced Dina's confession about Jack's paternity into the movie. For some reason, I want her to do something extreme before Eileen Davidson leaves the show. Some kind of explosive turning point. I also want Victor to be Jack's father. So yeah, I'm asking a lot. Oh man, I think you hit it. I think that's it. I think it is gonna be Ashley. She did know about Jack's paternity at that point in the story, and then she sat there in the screening looking all shocked that the secret was coming out. You are probably right. I don't know about Victor ended up being Jack's father, but it is certainly possible that Ashley did the dirty work on that video, and who knows, maybe this was all part of her revenge back at Jack over that blood Abbott clause. Maybe she only made it look like he wasn't an Abbott. To get back at him for what he did to her. That means she would have the information already to get Billy out. Just let that sink in for a little bit. That would be so good. I hope that would be a good exit storyline for her. Well, Diana says also here, when Jack began his mission to find out who his father was, I thought it would be interesting if we found out it was Colin Atkins, Jill's husband, This would once again make Jill Jack's stepmother and would also make Jack related to the Winters family. Could open the door up to some different storyline avenues. It's Atkinson. That's what I stumbled on that for a second. Colin Atkinson. If that was Jack's father, I could almost see that. But I like your idea that it could connect Jack into the Winters family. He and Neil could be further bros. Jack was definitely a little happy to see Ashley chatting on the phone with Neil. I mean, again, Ashley's having this conversation with Neil, who is, I don't know, wherever Sophia lives. Shouldn't he be devastated over what's happened to his daughter and flying back to Genoa City as soon as possible to go visit her? We better see Neil next week. If we continue to see Lily next week, Neil better be there. I can't think of a good reason other than Christophe St. John having some kind of scheduling conflict that Neil wouldn't have been there. And even if it was a scheduling conflict, like, that needed to be worked out. I'm not just gonna get over that. Tony says, here's an idea to get Jack back to basics. Dina isn't perfectly clear about all those years of adventure, so maybe the man she was with at the time of Jack's creation was John, at a costume party, at the club, dressed up as some handsome stranger. That was a thing back in the day with the country club set, I think. I love that idea, Tony. I just, we need to get it back to Jack being an abbot. I'm kind of over it. It didn't work, Mal. You tried it a month ago and it didn't work. So don't just bring this back now to make Jack become Lauren's brother. We already did that with Jill. There's so many levels to why this better not end up being the case. I do not want to see Neil Fenmore be Jack's father. Okay? Don't make me get forceful about it, Mal. And I don't know why. It's like he's the head writer and the executive producer. So he's the one I'm trying to address this to. Well, let's switch over to talking about Billy. Justin leaves a great comment saying, "Is it just me? Or is it beyond ridiculous that Phyllis would not only give Billy her blessing to go to the gambling tournament, but to follow him to it and encourage his gambling?" Phyllis knows how bad Billy's gambling addiction is. She saw it firsthand how bad the addiction can be, also from Jack's pill addiction. Does Phyllis believe that because Billy was honest with her that he wanted to go to the tournament, that it gives him a free pass? Newsflash, Phyllis, when it comes to addicts of any kind, it's always just one more time with them. Ooh, yeah, well, that's a good counterpoint to my own. You are right. It always is just one more time. The only thing I can conceive of is simply that Phyllis is in a position to be someone that Billy can lean on, and she doesn't totally want to blow that. But you do make a very strong point there. Tina Cole says, let's lighten it up. Allie, let me paint you a picture. Your house is next door neighbors to the Abbott mansion. You're sitting outside having a coffee or a beverage, relaxing on your front porch, and then you look up to see shirtless Kyle going for a run. Y&R sure is enjoying having the male actors lose their shirts more and more. I know, and it is more lately, isn't it? But I love your fantasy. I could just go there. I am on my porch right now seeing Kyle going for a fun run with his shirt off. What a luxury that would be. I mean, to live in the same neighborhood as the Abbotts would be nice on my own estate. And then to see that running by, ooh, I need a fan. Hey, Leslie says, I hope that Kyle's PI finds out Tessa is scamming and rescues Mariah. Yes, Leslie, why did Y&R have Kyle even go mention the PI? Is that still going to be on the table? And if so, it would be very feasible that that PI would come back with some information about Tessa. You might have hit that. That might be the case. Well, let's wrap up with some Eric Braeden news here. Diana says she just wanted to let the chatters know that Eric Braeden has a small role in the movie Den of Thieves with Gerard Butler. It's playing on Netflix right now. Ooh, that's good. I'm gonna have to check that out. Superplex also throws out an older Eric Braeden movie saying you should check out Colossus, the Forbin Project from 1970. It's about a supercomputer gone haywire, but not before it was assigned control of America's nuclear arsenal. Ooh. Yeah, you know what? You're not going to believe this, but I don't think I've ever seen an Eric Braeden in anything except for The Young and the Restless. I haven't even seen Titanic, so I should definitely check that out. You know what? The fact that Y&R is showing us these old movies, they must have some kind of licensing deal with Sony that was allowing them to show us frames of Marlon Brando in On the Waterfront. Excellent movie. We saw that on our screens this week as Dina's watching the movie. Wouldn't it be kind of cool and coy if Y&R did a movie that Eric Braeden was in? Ooh. I would like to see that happen. Hey, lastly, Jamie is listening to Eric Braeden's book as an audio book right now. I got your link, Jamie, and I'll have to check that out. I have the hard copy of Eric Braeden's book. Loved it. Enjoyed it to no end. Keep saying I'm going to do a book review on it, but I've had no time with my toddler being insane right now. But I love the idea of getting to go back and listen to it as an audiobook. So thank you. I mean, getting to hear Eric Braeden tell his life story in person, what a dream, because that book is really good. It's fascinating. It's not all about Y&R by any means. He doesn't even get to talking about Y&R until later in the book. The man has led a very fascinating life. So if you haven't checked out Eric Braeden's book called I'll Be Damned yet, do that. Go back, watch some Eric Braeden movies. Have an Eric Braeden fest this week. Why not? Okay, everybody, my camera battery is getting ready to die, so I suppose that's a signal that I should probably get going. But I hope you enjoyed this Y&R chat. I hope you enjoy this coming week's show. I think it's gonna be jam-packed. We are getting into sweeps soon. Yeah. So, as you're watching the show and you're thinking of things, don't forget to go to yrchat.com to leave your comments. Chat with all of us. Keep that convo going. I love seeing it, love reading it, and really appreciate you guys coming here to talk with me about the show every Sunday. I love you, and I'll see you next time. Bye!